Welcome back to our Hull City podcast where Tigers walk. We are celebrating 120 years of Hull City this weekend with a game at Cardiff, and what a way to celebrate it with our first 3 points on the board with the win at Stoke. And we've got Ben, Matty and Jack, of course, here to review that wonderful 3 points. So come on, let's see some smiley faces. There you go. That's better. We haven't seen many for a while. Welcome to Where Tigers Walk. It was nice to see hashtag mauled trending on Friday night for once. Welcome Ben, Matty and Jack, and welcome you. Thank you for watching. There are many podcasts on Hull that you can listen to for an hour and a half, 2 hours, but ours is 20 minutes every week from Monday at 6 o'clock, where we review everything that's going on at Hull. Right, Ben, we'll start with you then this week. First half-time, genuinely, without knowing what was coming next, what were you thinking?
In all honesty, I thought we could be up against it again for the second Friday in a row, but somehow, some way, they managed to start brightly, come out the blocks flying, and got the equaliser, which was the most important, and that sort of gave a bit of momentum, and then 2 quick-fire goals to pretty much just kill it off.
Yeah, the changes that were thanks Ben. The changes that were made clearly had some impact. Jack, what was the most pivotal change for you that won you that game?
I think it was Slater, because Miller came on at the start of the first half, and then it's changed when Slater came on, so it has to be him.
What impressed you the most, Jack?
I just had a determination to get back into the game. We haven't seen it much this season, and it was just nice to be able to celebrate, because I was thinking in the first half, oh great, this is just going to be a repeat of Friday, or we're just going to get mauled. What am I doing here? But they proved me wrong in the second half, and I'm glad we got the 3 points.
Yeah, not a great place to go on a Friday night. Stoke away, is it? But well done to all those of you that travelled. Matty, we're going to come on to the Cardiff game in a second, but what for you stood out in that second half particularly?
I think, the introduction of Miller was pivotal, and he kind of moved the midfield around a little bit. Palmer went more central. He kept coming out to the left-hand side a little bit, so it was more central. Slater was a bit higher up the pitch, but for me, they played a little bit higher up the pitch, and they played the ball forward a lot quicker. I think first half was still a bit suicide football at the back. We were lucky really, because I think Stoke had, within the first minute, had a really good chance, and then they had another chance when they were 2-on-1 against Jones, and they didn't convert. So that was lucky. But second half, they just got the ball down quicker. They just passed it quicker. Miller was an outlet all the time, and to be fair, I thought Balumi actually, his decision making is a bit poor, but I think second half he was an outlet again, that we could just get the ball to him, and he brought the ball forward. But definitely a lot more positive second half. I think when we went behind, we were positive. I think we were a better team throughout the full game, but just a lot more positive second half.
Yeah, our Stoke fan definitely agreed with that. You definitely agreed with it. Help me explain Walter Ball then, because, okay, I've watched it for 2 Fridays now. You've watched it for 6 weeks. I saw a bit of your game against Millwall when it was the early kickoff. So I've watched maybe half of your games. Okay, here's the average positions. And thank you to @WT Analysis for this. Here's the average positions for each of the players there. Okay, somebody explain Walter Ball to me. What system is it? Ben, can you help us out with this?
God,
see there, because I'm looking at that and going, all right. I actually don't know what the instruction is to the players.
Yeah. It's interesting to watch, because it's such a high line, and I think it relies on the defence being secure against the possibility of a counter-attack, which unfortunately last week we found out we weren't quite there yet. But it's just playing really high, and there's a lot of free moving runs from the two at the back, mainly. Well, it seems to be more of Sean McLaughlin and Alfie Jones. Alfie Jones seems to be the one that's like almost like the anchor in the back line. But yeah, sometimes it's obviously starting a 4, sometimes it's a 3, sometimes the holding midfielder might drop back and it's a 5. It's hard to explain when you don't fully know the ins and outs yet. But yeah, it's just, I think it is bordering on the line of suicide football, but with a bit of tactics behind it that actually do seem to work half the time, to be fair.
Yeah, because I feel very bad when we do videos like we did last week, which is saying time's up, Tim, and so on, because ultimately it is 6 games in, and maybe he's just misunderstood, or maybe I've misunderstood him. I'd like to think I've seen most tactics when it comes to football, but I actually genuinely don't understand what he's instructing the team to do. There was lots of similarities from the previous game, but Matty, could you, if you were trying to explain this to somebody who's a non-football fan, how would you kind of describe the system that Hull play with, especially away from home?
I don't think it changes when we're at home or away. I think it's pretty much the same. I think, like Ben said, it's kind of interchangeable positions, so they're not kind of set on a position. And I think that the first half, it was quite obvious that on that left hand side you had Omar and I've forgotten. Palmer, sorry, on that left hand side, and they kind of interchanged a little bit, which it didn't really work because we didn't have any width on that left hand side, so that was a bit strange. So it's kind of interchangeable, but I think second half you noticed it. We played a lot higher up the pitch. We didn't. First half we passed it around at the back a lot, and it kind of went to the fullback, and instead of going down the line, they cut back inside and they went back across the other side of the pitch. They didn't do that second half. They got the ball down, and as soon as they got it, they passed it forward a lot quicker. And then we all squeezed up the pitch. And I think like Zambrano first half was particularly really good at picking up the ball and doing that. And then in the second half, obviously when he went off and Simons came on, he did the same. He just got the ball and we passed it a lot quicker going forward. So I think we're still figuring it out ourselves. I think we will get there with it. And we'll know what we're kind of playing. But at the moment, kind of interchanging a little bit in positions and all over. I'm just not a big fan of it being open at the back and we're suspect to those counter-attacks. That's the only thing I'm suspect against. And Stoke, they were poor. And we got found out against Sheffield United. So that's the only thing for me is if we can secure that defensively, I think we'll be all right.
Okay. Jack, you write obviously about every game quite eloquently. How do you sum up the style?
It's I can't make head or tail of it, to be honest. It's, well, as you see, most of our players down the flanks, we don't often go down the middle, so it's kind of link up players and 1-2 passes that he's trying to do. It worked in the second half. We seemed to click more with Miller and Palmer on the left. That's how we got our third goal, with Palmer and Miller 1-2, and Palmer's released to the dead ball line and he gets it into the box. I think that's what we're trying to do. And let's hope we keep it up because we need that.
Okay. Here's what social media said then. Paul says, great win. Miller, Slater and Palmer changed the game, as you all have already said. Hopefully the fans will get the managers back now and get behind the team. We're close to being a good team. As Volta said last week, we're a final ball away from scoring lots of goals. Ben, how close are you to being a good team?
To be honest, I agree in some parts. I'm still not 100% convinced with the style of play. It's an interesting one because a lot of the time, if you'd seen the game, it's some of the final balls were maybe too high, too short, didn't quite reach Chris Padilla, the target man in the middle, who's waiting for it. But I think that is probably the main thing we're lacking slightly is just the accuracy on the final balls and the service into the the number 9 in the middle. But yeah, I'm still not 100% convinced that it is in Tim we trust yet. But I can be convinced if in the next few games it's more of a convincing performance, because it's there. You can see it's there. It's just not quite as confident and as fluid as I think Tim Walter wants it to be, or what he's aiming for it to look like in the end.
Okay. Well, for the second week running, Matty, you're possibly going to be facing a team that's going to have a new manager in the stands. Cardiff sat Errol Bullock ahead of this recording. Presumably, based on everything that you've said so far in terms of starting, Slater gets the nod as in the starting lineup. What about Zambrano? What happens to him?
I think it depends on whether he's fit or not, but I think he has made he'd made a difference. I think that holding midfield is something that we have missed. Somebody who's just a bit strong, who can have a bit of control on it and get the ball down and pass it. I think we've missed somebody like that last season. So Zambrano, for me, if he's fit, because obviously he went off injured, he would start. But I think the sign of us being a good team is the bench and the subs that we can bring on. And I mean, if you can bring on, we brought on Slater and Miller, and I think that might be the difference this season, is the players that we can actually bring off the bench to change the game. So Zambrano definitely starts, and it's got to be Palmer. It's got to be Palmer and Slater in midfield. I like Slater a bit higher up. He seems to affect the game a bit more. So I think if we can get him a bit higher up in that kind of attacking midfield position, he can influence the game a bit more.
Okay, all right. And there's the 120th year celebrations, I believe, Jack, as well. What have we got planned? We're having fireworks, balloons,
just
free beer,
cheap tickets. That's about it, really. Cheap tickets. Hoping to get the stadium filled for what should be the start of something good.
Yeah, absolutely. It should be a hard-earned 3 points against the bottom side in the league. I mean, if they do go 1-0 up, I hope it just doesn't turn against you. All right, then let's have a look. Then, first of all, well done against Stoke. We've hammered you for 5 weeks, so we'll give you credit where credit is due. Yeah, I did. I actually put a bet on Stoke at half time. So I didn't.
Can you do that next week, Mark? Do it again.
Yeah. I didn't see it going any other way. I thought they were just going to come out but no, you were very impressive 45 minutes, and well done, Tim Walter. If you do watch this, and we are very sorry, we will give you more time. But yeah, Stoke were that bad, so let's maybe not read too much into your win, shall we? All right, then, we've done goalkeepers, we've done centre-backs with Jack a couple of weeks ago, we've done left-backs, and now, to complete the set, we're now going to have a look at the right-backs and get you to review reviews. Before we do that, if you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. We love reading all your comments, which are great every single week, and of course you can stream this on Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast on. Okay, here's added time. All right, so with transfer market listing 3, I'm sure there's others that perhaps could play in that role, as most footballers can play right back. I would imagine if asked to, as they should. Jack, how do you rate this position in terms of strength and depth?
Not highly. I think if Louis Coyle wasn't there, it'd probably be very low. He's our main man at the moment. Drama is just he's decent. He just needs his time to shine. And Simmons is better. I think he's better in midfield. To be fair, I haven't really seen him as a right back yet, but it's an unknown.
Okay, Ben, do you agree with that?
Yeah, completely. I think it's every time I see one of these, and on paper we've got 2 or 3 as the depth. It is quite alarming to actually see that that's how short we are, because it seems to be the back line is where we lack the most in depth, because everywhere else we've got at least 2 or 3 that are interchangeable. But yeah, like Jack said, Louis Coyle is the main man and always has been. He's probably first or second on the team sheet. But yeah, like Jack said, Simmons is probably better suited to midfield. Drame did well, I think, at left back, which is obviously not his natural position. But then there's also Ryan Giles, who has to be accommodated as well. So
Okay.
yeah, I mean, I think we've got good players. It's just the depth is a bit of a worry, but not massive.
Okay. As I said, we've completed the full set now, so you can probably guess what's coming next. So out of 10, Matty, ignoring your results, ignoring the teams you've played so far, how strong out of 10 do you rate Hull defensively in terms of strength and depth this season?
If you rated them defensively on the games that we've played so far,
No. Yeah, that would be 2. Yeah, but
yeah, absolutely. I think losing Greaves was a massive haul, and not really replacing. We've obviously got Charlie Hughes, which hasn't played yet. So I think 6. I think we're still solid. Alfie Jones is solid. Like the guys have said, Louis Coyle has been absolutely awesome. Drama did well at left back. To be fair, I thought he filled in all right. But yeah, you would struggle. I know we were in the market for like Liam Cooper, which was just a no. But I think we do miss somebody just as a bit of experience, I suppose, at the back. So I'll probably say 6 at the moment. If we get a serious injury at the back there, we might be struggling a little bit. The person that you forgot to put in there as well, Matt, was Regan Slater. So
yes.
he can play any position. So but we have got him as a backup if he does. He's Mr. Versatile, can play anywhere.
Absolutely, be on every list one day, even in goal. I'm sure if we asked him to. Jack, any advance on 6?
No, I'm gonna have to decrease it. I'm sorry. It's going to be a 5. A 5 for me. I mean, if Louis Coyle wasn't in, I know I don't know if we've seen Charlie Hughes play, it'd probably be a little bit higher. But yeah, I'm gonna stick with a 5.
Okay, so we've got a 5, we've got a 6. Ben, you decide the average here.
I'd probably say 6 as well. Like the guys have both said, we've got good players. It's just the depth. If we do have a big injury for any of them, it's a big hole to fill, and we've got the backup is a lot of young players, and like Matty said, there's not really very many experienced old heads in the team. We've got Louis Coyle, Alfie Jones, and Sean McLaughlin, but they're not even like as old as your class, proper championship experienced players. But yeah, I think 6 is probably fair. We might see someone come in January, but that's far ahead in the future now. So 6 for me.
All right. Drop your comments below. What grade do you give them? And then we move into the midfield next week. It's October though coming up, and you know what happens in October? It's where every manager gets squeaky bum because it's sack time. Owners getting jittery, and of course for that big massive run of games before Christmas, they want the right people in place. So if you hadn't beaten Stoke, potentially this might be a different answer. But Jack, how safe is Volta's position? Not in terms of fans, we know where they sit, but where do you think Akron is leaning towards?
He'll be agnostic with him at the moment. A couple more wins will be good for him, but I think if that was just a one-off, if that was just off-piste, then I think he's gone. If he doesn't continue it, then he's gone, unfortunately.
Okay. Ben?
Yeah, I'd say the same. I think if we manage to get anything less than a win against Cardiff, it is quite a big worry considering how they've started the season. Out of 10, I'd probably say 5.5, 6. But if they manage to get a few wins in the next couple of games, then it could increase.
Okay. No, we have to remember you've played Leeds and Sheffield United, haven't you, in that run? So we do have to put a bit like Portsmouth. Portsmouth have played every single big team there have been and played Sheffield United this weekend. So these results have to be put into context. Matty, if he loses to Cardiff and the next couple, is he get rid, or is this a bigger project, do you think, than just 10 games?
I'd like him to kind of keep his patience. I think, but it's results driven, isn't it? Everything's results driven. I think it was a positive performance against obviously Stoke. We're not a great team, but positive. I'd like him to keep his patience with him. Whether he does or not is totally dependent on the results. Big game against Cardiff. Got to win. Got to win for him to keep his job, and I think he knows that. And then we've got a couple of games that are possibly winnable away games. QPR and Norwich. It's going to be tough, but QPR possibly. So I think the pressure was taken off him slightly on Friday. And good on him, because I think he stuck to his philosophy of how we want to play, and he's not backed down from that. So good on him for doing that. And I'd like a bit of patience with him.
All right.
I think.
Well, right. Well said. If you disagree, comment below. Thank you very much, all three of you. Next week we'll start our dip into the central midfield, and we'll also start our journey into asking each of you about how your love for Hull started. How old were you? What was your first game? We'll find out more about each of you next week. Thank you very much, Ben. Thank you, Matty. Thank you, Jack. And thank you for watching. We'll see you next week.